Pride Month is in full swing, and we are lucky to have three authors making a huge impact in the young adult community from Epic Reads. We have Jason June, Sonora Reyes, and Abdi Nazemian. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having us.
Jason June, let's go ahead and start with you. Riley Weaver needs a date to the Gay Butante Ball. Tell us a little bit about the story of this, exploring labels and how they limit us, liberate us, but also not just what we do to ourselves, but what others, do to us.
Absolutely. So Riley Weaver Needs a Date to the Gay Butante Ball, the longest title ever, follows our titular character Riley as he's trying to get into the Gay-Butante Society, which is a queer version of the Debutante Society. And like the debutantes, there is a culminating ball where you get escorted by somebody from your old life who's introducing you into your new life. And because teens are very romantically and hormonally inclined, most of the Gay-Butantes have a romantic date. But Riley is told he will not be able to find a romantic date because he's gay and femme, and a lot of gay guys just like guys. They're gay because they're dudes who like dudes. And this is a theme that you'll find in the gay community a lot. And so Riley starts a podcast detailing the shenanigans of dating while gay and femme and exploring that very thing about how labels can limit and liberate us and who gets to say what gay looks like.
Especially for the young adult community who may just be coming out. This is kind of an eye-opener and just kind of shows them not to limit themselves because this is pretty much their first, view into all of this.
100%. When I was a teen, I would have loved to have been able to be learning about makeup and be learning about like feminine styling at the same time that all of my girl peers who were encouraged to lean into that. And so I definitely just want to have time for those little femboys now who want to explore that, don't feel the whole stigma and shame that was there when I was a kid.
Abdi, let's talk a little bit about your book, Only This Beautiful Moment, because we're talking about 3 generations of teenagers, and oftentimes you don't know what happens to your family or their stories until it's too late, or at the very last moment where you can't make that connection. Tell me a little bit about your book.
That's right. So Only This Beautiful Moment is the story of 3 generations of Iranian men in the same family. So it takes place in the 1930s, the 1970s, and present day. And in each story, the character is either going from Los Angeles to Iran or Iran to Los Angeles. And it's very much about how history impacts our personal lives. And in this case, it's the history of the Middle East and the American intervention there, anti-queer legislation. But it's about how a family can be divided because of that, and very much inspired by my own journey of wanting to discover my own history in a deeper way.
Sonora, let's talk a little bit about the Luis Ortega Survival Club, bringing Latinx stories to life. Tell me a little bit about Ariana and, just even the whole concept of consent, which I think a lot of the young kids are learning now in school, which I have a couple, this is an off topic, but I have some friends who have kids that are in grade school and they're learning about that along with sex ed, which is just incredible.
Yes. I love that they're learning that. So the Luis Ortega Survival Club follows Ariana Ruiz, who gets, she gets assaulted at a party before the book starts, so it's not on page or anything. And so she decides to team up with an anonymous pen pal to get revenge on the guy who did it. And meets this whole group of people who also want revenge. She finds her found family. She falls for one of the girls in the group and essentially makes her own happy ever after. So I wanted to talk a little bit about consent and like how it can look different for different people because she doesn't talk, and how she can show her consent in different ways.
And especially too with people in high school reading this book, they may have an experience similar to this and may not know how to react or may not feel safe telling a family member or a friend. And this is kind of a great way for them to be empowered.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely wanted it to be that kind of like, what's it called? Like a like a doorway for that kind of conversation. Yeah.
Jason June, I know we're talking about the new book, but I want to talk a little bit about Out of the Blue because Little Mermaid big this year.
Yes.
But also, you have your own merperson story as well too to share. So maybe someone who doesn't know about that, maybe they can pick that up this summer as well.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Rudy. So Out of the Blue follows Crest, who is a merperson that has to go through the traditional journey, is what it's called, where every merperson has to spend one moon cycle on land to help a human. And mer people aren't really crazy about people in general because humans suck. We're constantly polluting the ocean. We're just like taking down every little environment that we get our grubby little hands on. And so when Crest gets on shore, they're thinking that they are not going to find anybody that they could ever want to help until they meet Sean. And Sean is a sweet lifeguard who's just been dumped. And so Crest decides to fake date Sean in order to help Sean win his ex back. And hopefully Crest will then go back to the ocean at the end of that. But we all know what happens with fake dating.
Well, of course, we want to pick up the book and we want to see how this one is going to end.
That's right.
Abdi, let's talk a little bit about the topic of your book. And are you getting readers that maybe are not just in the young adult community, but maybe some older readers who wish they had something like this growing up as well, too?
Always, with all the young adult books I've written, and I'm sure it's your experience too, we get plenty of adult readers. And in my case, when writing about historical fiction, I mean, with this one, it's multi-generational, it's a whole family. I mean, yeah, of course, I'm getting people from all generations. You know, I wrote a book called Like a Love Story that was about growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, and it's very much about what it was like to be gay when the AIDS epidemic was at its worst. And I've had so many people from my generation come and say they hadn't read something like that was about what it was like to come of age, that specific age. Of being a teenager in that era. And so I think it can be very powerful for adults too to revisit these themes and that moment in their lives.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for your time today. Go ahead and check out these books. They're all from Epic Reads, and happy Pride Month to everybody.
Thank you.
Pride to you.
Happy Pride.
Thank you.
Thank you.